I want to talk about it. It's by Drew Gooden. I watched a few of his videos before. I'm pretty sure, because I'm not logged in right now. Yes, he also made a video on Avatar. So there's even overlap between the things we talk about, you know? Definitely check this guy out. He makes very, very good videos. I watched a bunch of his stuff before. But he made a video about AI is ruining the internet. As you know, I'm a very, very mixed... I don't even know how to put it. I think there is a ton that AI will make, like, very, very good. But I also think that we are seeing, like, the growing pains of AI being everywhere right now. Especially with, like, just flooding very, very bad content. And by the way, I wanted to make a video about this as well. There are a ton of YouTube channels now basically taking entire scripts. I had this happen to me. They take your entire video script, they record it with an AI voice, they make like some sort of very cheap like video production, and just upload it, right? So they like take the actual bulk of the work that was scripting and just like repurpose it through stuff. And it's very hard to catch, because it's like very, very hard to catch just the script. You know, there is no inbuilt mechanism for that on YouTube. You can catch visuals, voices, and everything like that. But just the words being spoken, that's hard. That's hard. Okay, let's watch it.
Day in the life of a lazy teenager who makes $21,000 a month using just his phone. The first thing I do...
I can tell you what's going to happen right now. This guy is committing fraud. This guy's either committing fraud or he's doing copyright theft. One or the other. And the funniest thing is I've seen so many of these people. There was a... I'm going on a tangent right now. There was a guy who made a TikTok about how he starts basically shell companies. Creates like a credit card from the company, right? And then uses the credit card in the company name to buy stuff for himself. And then the company goes bankrupt. And in his little noodle brain, he thought, that's it. Like the company went bankrupt, so they can't get the debts, right? Because it's gone. But... the thing is, there exists this concept of piercing the, what is it called? Piercing the business veil? Piercing the commercial veil? It was something like that. It's basically a law that when you're using business funds, business things for yourself, that's not how it works. Like, you and the business is no longer a separate entity, because you made them a singular entity. So this dude filmed himself doing fraud on camera. It was so funny.
When I go on my phone is open YouTube. Then I search for any particular streamer and I screen record their content. Then I head to creo.ai.
Copyright theft.
Select my gameplay and it puts the whole video together for me. Last month, this page alone made me $14,000.
Here's how I make $1 million every day as a 3-year-old toddler working from home. First, I look for a funny YouTube video, preferably one with a lot of colors and sounds. Then I film my iPad with my phone. Then I upload it to Microsoft's Copilot AI powered by Bing GPT, and it adds infuriatingly inept Subway Surfers gameplay to the clip. Then I boot my diaper. Then TikTok mails me a check for 200 grand, which I'm pretty sure my parents have been using to fund their online gambling addiction. Hey guy, has anyone else noticed how awesome the internet is lately? I, for one, find it so exciting that every website now has their own named version of AI that pops up begging you to use
Apple Intelligence.
it. You got any questions?
Note how it still keeps the acronym for AI because SEO. Like, this time Apple is not going like off the rails. They still have AI. It's just like slightly different, you know, it's very different.
Questions for Gemini? Or maybe Murph? Nendo? How about Grok? You need to grok something? It's okay if you do. AI has become completely inescapable, even if you're going to a website where you're not seeking it out and you don't expect it to be. Like, remember when you could search for something on Google and the only thing they would show you was a bunch of relevant websites and results? Boring. That's not what I'm here for. I think it's much better that now they're using artificial intelligence to tell me to jump off a bridge. Hey Google, do I need a parachute?
I don't think this ever rolled out in the EU, because I never saw this. People posted memes about this like right away, but I literally never saw this. Like the AI summary thing never even popped up for me. It was always like, you know how they pick like a search result and like automatically highlight the relevant things? They're just still doing that. Like I never got the AI things at all. I guess that's just like a US only thing. Because I think like every single AI thing that's being released in the US, the EU gets it like 3 months later.
while skydiving? Nope, a regular backpack works just as well. Hey Google, can cockroaches live in your penis? Of course they can. How do you think they got the name? Wow, I love living in the future. To me, this is the ultimate example of what the AI craze is doing to tech companies, because for the most part, it's not really doing anything differently than it used to. For a long time now, they've had searches that result in one highlighted answer. This is kind of the same
This is the thing that I always get, and I love it. It's so good.
thing, but just rebranded as AI because that makes it sound smarter than it actually is. But it's not like it's carefully compiling all the...
I think it is actually different, right? Because this thing highlights existing information. The AI would theoretically synthesize new information based on the queries it is found. So it is not actually like a rebranded thing. Functionally, it should be something new. That's why it outputted the ridiculous results. Because it like the data set was somewhere infected with something dumb. That's what I think it does, at least. That's what I think it should do.
The most reputable results and running it through their fact-checking algorithm, it's still just aggregating it from one place. And because Google recently spent a bunch of money to buy all of Reddit's data, usually that
Oh my god, I'm gonna go on another tangent. Someone posted this yesterday on Twitter and I didn't even realize it. Remember how we talked about like the amount of filming that Mr. Beast does for his videos? Like the fact that he has literally multi-million-dollar servers of video? Isn't that like a data goldmine? Like it's not perfect because it's like there are different videos, so like different settings, yada yada, but it's still like an enclosed space. But he does all the labeling because he needs the video for editing, and he has so much of it, and like the quality of it should be pretty high, you know, considering that he's using proper equipment and everything. I think Mr. Beast can make a bit more money on the side if he wants to. I think he just needs to call up like Google, OpenAI, I guess OpenAI is just Microsoft. Whichever one of these.
Just a random Reddit post from like 10 years ago. This one about how you should put glue on your pizza to get cheese to stick to it was from a user named Fucksmith. This one about how you should be eating at least one rock per day is a direct headline from The Onion, perhaps the most famous satire website. If they're not even programming The Onion as information the AI should not consider to be factual, I can't imagine it.
I wonder why they just don't have like a hierarchy of sources. Because I think that would like rule out most of these issues, right? Like if you're drawing on Wikipedia, people say Wikipedia, you can edit Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not great. Yeah, but it's the best tool we have. So querying that like right off the bat, I think would be a much, much better option, but I don't know.
Any safeguards were put into place. This is so dangerous for someone to read this and think they should be eating one small rock every day, when most doctors would tell you to eat a handful of medium rocks at minimum. One little pebble's not gonna do anything. For real though, I do think it's concerning that a website people go to for information and tend to trust, for better or for worse, is so willing to destroy that trust just because they thought this gimmick would make their stock price go up. And it did.
I was about to say, and it did. And by a lot, too. Not by just a little, by a lot.
The economy makes sense. I'm gonna celebrate by putting gasoline in my spaghetti. Something I've been kind of interested in lately is the dead internet theory, which if you dig too much into, comes with some weird baggage, makes some pretty ridiculous claims. So I'm just gonna separate the core idea and make it its own thing. But basically just the idea that as time goes on, the internet is
too many bots, basically,
where most of the content on it is not only produced and managed by AI, but is also being interacted with by AI in this kind of...
I think the original dead internet theory basically says like this is the one that goes back to like 2012 where the internet was filled with creepypastas. I think the original dead internet theory was that like it's already a dead internet and the things you're are interacting with are actually already made by like AI, robots, stuff like that. I think that was the original. Like most data isn't actually legit.
Kind of endless loop that doesn't even involve humans at all. Like if you've gone on Quora at all recently, you've probably noticed questions that have been asked by bots filled with answers given by bots.
That's Facebook.
So it was initially created as a place where people could go to get advice from other people has been overrun by AI just talking to itself. Social media websites are also going through a similar shift right now, but perhaps none more prevalent than Facebook. In 2019, Facebook deleted over 5 billion
And by the way,
accounts.
we're memeing about this, but I think like from a purely technical point of view, the fact that there are
websites,
this thing right here, obviously times are changing very, very rapidly, so I don't know if this is going to age very well or very, very poorly. I know that like when these generative models were popping off originally, there was always the worry that if you're training it on things that the AI has already produced, there is a point at which like the model collapses because like you've polluted the data set with things that it itself has generated and it messes up everything. Like the entire model collapses completely. So I remember there were worries. The more they generate data like this, the higher the probability is that like making future models will require more work because you would have to filter out the data. Because these things right now is, if you put in bad data, is going to be bad. I don't know how it is now because like Nvidia is going all in on synthetic data, and I think that's what's going to happen too. I think they're basically going to start making virtual worlds, and that's where they're going to get like all the training data and not actually take it from people at all. And I also think that's how they're going to get around like legislation. I think they're just going to make it from scratch, but we'll see. We'll see.
To itself. Social media websites are also going through a similar shift right now, but perhaps none more prevalent than Facebook. In 2019, Facebook deleted over 5 billion accounts for being fake, which far exceeded the number of real human accounts. And that was before all these programs became as widely available as they are now. At this point, most of Facebook seems to be these giant spam accounts run by bots, posting content created by AI that's being flooded with comments that may or may not have been written by ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. After Google fixed the glue on Pete's answer, it still popped up because it basically just quotes the same thing. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Today's my birthday. Please, please. I like meat. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Amen. 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 Amen.
You know what the worst part about this is? That a bunch of those people are not AI. Just let that sink in for a moment. You know how there exists the concept of the singularity where like the technology is moving so fast that people can't adapt anymore? Well, let's just say there's a reason why a lot of people think it has already happened.
As soon as one type of photo becomes successful, you'll start seeing a bunch that are almost exactly the same. A grandma who's turning 1,000,000 years old and just wants to be loved. A comically long truck full of American flags driving down the wrong side of the highway. Soldiers and dog soldiers with mechanical legs. Today, my birthday. No one loves me because I'm poor. Honestly, man, if I had to guess, I think it's actually because of your shoes. Have you tried wearing something less terrifying? Today's my birthday. No, yon lodines because I'm poor. Again, man, I don't think it's cause you're poor. I think it's the shoe. I'm single. I need a boyfriend. I'm available. I'm right here for you both. Can you come to me? I will take you out and show you off to everyone and tell them this is my girlfriend. There's something so eerie about scrolling through Facebook now. It's kind of like if you
I almost want to make a Facebook account and just start commenting on these so that I end up in one of these videos and people talk about like the weirdness. I kind of want to become a part of the legend now. I'm gonna be honest.
Went to an old mall
It'd be kind of
that's
funny.
On its last legs. They've only got a few open stores left. There's hardly anyone ever walking around. It would be like if that mall tried to trick you into thinking it's still popular by filling itself with talking mannequins. They're just repeating robotic catchphrases like, ah, what a beautiful day at the mall. I'm going to browse Spencer's for novelty goods. And you're like, who the hell is falling for this? And then you look over at your uncle and he's trying to fuck one of the mannequins. The mannequin has 2 heads and 3 arms and your uncle's completely undeterred by it. That's what Facebook is now. You'll see the most freakish photos go viral on there, and they're filled with comments from middle-aged dudes like, you may be a little unusual, oh quirky one, but God makes no mistakes. I will pray for you. Now please DM me so I can show you my penis. And honestly, I don't even know if Facebook wants to put a stop to this. All they're ever gonna care about is keeping people on their platform. And if this is what gets them to scroll longer and see more ads, they probably love it.
I wonder at which point, bro, selling I'm okay. I wonder at which point this becomes a problem because Facebook is reporting like faulty monthly active users. Because at that point, that's like deceptive reporting to your own investors, and I don't know how long that can fly. Like every single website has some amount of bots. Like of course they do. But if you are knowingly reporting numbers that you know are massively inflated, I don't think that's gonna fly. And we actually kind of saw this with Twitter, right? When Musk bought Twitter, wasn't there like the whole debacle of how many active users there actually are? And then like most of them were bots. And now, well, let's not talk about now. Man, I love Twitter. Twitter is such a good website. Man, I love Twitter. Now it's worse. Looking back at how it was, I have a feeling that like back then, there just were no bots. I don't know how it could get so much worse. I genuinely don't.
At least they'll love it until advertisers start to realize they're overpaying for ad space because none of the impressions they're getting.
What a smart man. What a smart man. That's what I mean. And at a certain point, this becomes illegal.
are from real people, so they'll leave to advertise on other websites, and in their place will be ads for, like, I don't know, crystals that give you superpowers. Oh, that's already happening?
These are those rhombohedron crystals in your pineal gland. We're seeing common people around the world becoming supernatural.
That's a real ad I got on Facebook. Maybe Twitter's doing better? Let's see what kind of ads they got. Oh, here we go. An ad for stand-up comedy. Nothing weird about that. Just a regular human doing regular human stuff.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Europe. Europe who? No, Europe who?
Okay. I think that joke only works if you put the emphasis on, no, you're a poo. I don't know if the AI voice really understands that.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Europe. Europe who? No, Europe who?
Again, similar problem as before, but I do love that he's shouting now.
Knock, knock.
There are two big changes that Elon has made to Twitter that have made the website.
No. Actually, there's just one. There's just one change. It's just bad.
Infinitely worse. One, he turned verification into a paid program where
which, by the way, imagine being so disconnected from society that you don't realize that, like, at a certain point, this becomes cost of doing business. Like, at a certain point, the money you're going to make off of just, like, these dumb impressions, however they monetize their content, this is just an expense. I don't understand how anyone with any degree of understanding how people work would think this is a good idea. And people buying Twitter verification are not real people. It's bots. Like, there are some people buying it because you can write longer posts, right? And that's actually good. That's an actually good thing.
Give them $8 a month, you get increased visibility on your posts.
And by increased visibility, by the way, this means they are literally at the top of the replies. So if you ever see a popular account and you want to see what people are actually saying, well, you're not going to find out. Because the only thing you're going to find out is a lot of not safe for work stuff and a lot of things that are just completely unrelated videos. I started blocking these. So now when I go into replies of a tweet, I just see, like, you've hidden this account, 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 and I keep scrolling. And then sometimes I see more random clips, and maybe sometimes I'll see a single person. But that's rare. That's rare.
Including in replies to other posts. Shortly afterwards, they also added a monetization program so those blue checkmark people could make money off of their tweets. Now, in theory, this is a good thing. I think if a platform is profiting off of your content, it's only fair that you get a percentage of that. The problem is, on Twitter specifically, most of the content that these accounts produce is just stolen memes and videos.
It's not even stolen memes. Freaking Shueisha is coming after YouTubers doing literally free advertising in the highest quality that most people could ever ask for. Like, these are people taking your work and pouring hundreds of thousands of hours into literally marketing it for free, right? Well, not for free, but you're not paying them. Meanwhile, Twitter just takes 4 minutes from the episode, puts it on Twitter, it gets 10 million views, and, well, everything's fine. And also, Twitter had this trend of just putting full movies on it for a while. This has nothing to do with AI, but it still bothers me.
Videos, or people just saying intentionally divisive shit to get everyone mad and farm engagement. So Elon has taken what he describes as
by the way, I keep saying this. I just realized we're 20 minutes in. I keep saying this, but if you understand how people work, actually, you don't even need to understand how people work. You just need to look at what YouTube did. Back in the day, YouTube had a section for reply videos. So what people did, because that's how you made money, right? That's how you got a lot of views. You just looked at a popular video and you made reply content. You were clearly just baiting for engagement, right? And that didn't work. YouTube took that away. We don't have that anymore. You know why? Because it didn't work and it was bad. People gamified the system. So what Twitter did is, well, they did that.
Town Square and added a financial incentive
to being toxic.
So that sucks, but that doesn't really have anything to do with AI. What does have to do with AI is the other version of engagement farming all over Twitter. This, like, mindless chat.
Concerning. My favorite response.
GPT clutter. Remember, buying a blue checkmark puts your tweets at the top of replies. So I guess some people did the math and were like, well, if I just program a bot to comment thousands of replies, I can make at least $9 or $10.
And the thing is, like, he jokes about it, but that is literally how you make money. Because you make 1,000 of them. You make 1,000 bots, and those $2 suddenly become $2,000 for nothing. You make 10,000 of them. Well, now you have even more money. You make 100,000 of them. It just keeps going up, right? That is why video games have a very, very hard time fighting off bots. Because bots usually, like, if you draw a curve, and you draw a curve of the cost, right? There is a certain point where the bot needs to be banned in order for it to be like a financial negative, and that's how you get rid of them. If you don't ban them, like once they pass that threshold, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you ban them 2 days after. It doesn't matter if you ban them a month after. As long as they are making money and they can just scale it up infinitely, it's not going to stop. World of Warcraft. Good example.
And that's what I like to call a profit. Oh, new movies coming out with Emma Stone? Cool. I wonder what people are saying about it. Good actor.
Team Fortress 2, also.
Title. Good one. Amazing.
Team Fortress is another good example. You're just waiting for drops. Also, the Banana Game. The Banana Game is slightly more intelligent because it's not actually relying on that kind of shady stuff. It's just relying on like very, very small residuals from technically exploiting the achievement system. But it is still the same thing, yeah. Like, you're making a very, very, very tiny profit, but you're just scaling it up by like 1,000 times. Like, there's a reason why the saying exists. Well, it's not really a saying, but like, you'd rather steal $1 from 10,000 people than steal $10,000 from one person. Like, who's more likely to notice? You know? Oh my god. This is the most basic of human things. How do people not realize this? It's so simple.
As title's showing, it will be a blockbuster. The film also stars Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Margaret Qualley. Yeah, no, I read all that. In the tweet that you're replying to, Stone has starred in many films, including Superbad, Easy A, and La La Land. She's known for her natural charm and husky voice. She's also appeared in Cruella, The Amazing Spider-Man, The Help. Stone has won many awards, including an Academy Award, a British Academy Film Award, a Golden Globe. Oh my god, why are the top replies just summarizing Wikipedia? Can we maybe prioritize things that are relevant?
And the thing is, like, this video is about AI. This has nothing to do with AI. AI right now is just showcasing the problem with the website itself on a massive scale because you can automate it. This has nothing to do with AI. Like, people could be doing this. The same thing. It would just be slightly harder, and the profit would be slightly smaller. You know?
To the conversation. Can we talk about the actual movie? Can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? No, we can't. Because this is what happens when you incentivize people to...
Yeah, with the Banana Game, I know they're getting drops, and then they're selling the drops, and by selling the drops, they get like 1 cent on every card, basically, right? And you scale that up massively, and you're basically getting free money out of thin air. Yes.
Farm impressions. But I also have a conspiracy theory that some of these accounts are not doing it for profit, but were instead created by Twitter themselves to make it seem like there's more users on their site than there actually are. Because again, who benefits from inflated impression numbers on paid ads?
That's not it.
Users,
Wait, is there more to the Banana Game that I'm not realizing? Is there even more lore to it? Because I haven't kept up with it, like, outside of the Spiffing Brit video. I watched the Spiff video about it, and that's it. Am I missing something? Drop chances on various skins. Yes, I know that. Yes, I know that. And I know that there are some skins that people suspect that the developer gave themselves. To, like, basically artificially boost it up. Because I think the way they're making money is just like the game has drops. And a lot of people are getting drops, and every time a drop is sold, the developer gets a small fraction of that cost. So every time you sell a 3-cent skin, the developer makes, like, I don't know, like 1 cent, right? And when 100,000 people do it, well, suddenly you have a lot of money.
Not the advertisers, only the platform itself. See, some of these accounts don't have check marks, or even profile photos for that matter, so there's no financial gain for them to be doing this. They don't seem to be promoting anything, but that hasn't stopped them from copying and pasting AI-generated comments that cut off as soon as it hits the character limit. I'm glad someone is finally shedding light on the importance of mental health awareness. It's amazing how many people are still struggling in silence, thinking they're alone in their battles. This is in response to a baseball player breaking his hand, but I think the weirdest and...
I mean, breaking your hand can be a very traumatic experience. I broke my hand once. It was not fun. So I'm glad. I'm glad.
most confusing implementation of AI on social media that I've seen is these meta-created Instagram accounts that are either modeled after celebrities but with different names and personalities, or just regular AI-generated people. And they post these stupid photos that look like shit, and you can message them. And for the life of me, I cannot understand what the hell the point of this is.
Okay. You want to hear my take on this? I think we are at the very, very precipice of one of the greatest, like, people moving inwards events in history. I think we saw a little bit of that with the internet, but the internet is, like, still fundamentally social, right? And I think these AI avatars, when they actually get good, oh boy, do I think we're in for a fun time. And by a fun time, I mean, like, it's gonna get, like, real bad. It's gonna get, like, real bad. Isn't there already? I think like there's a website. What was it called? There's a website with like 20 million active users monthly, and it's just like a chatting to these AI characters thing. So let's see what he has to say.
At first, I assume maybe they're just using your conversations to train their language model. But I asked one of them if that was the case, and she said no. Although now that I think about it, I'm not so sure I should believe anything they said, because I only talked to her for a few minutes, and she lied to me multiple times. So first, Liv tells me she's a mother of 2. So obviously, I asked her how long she was pregnant, and if there were any complications during childbirth. And she said 40 weeks and 2 days, and 38 weeks and 5 days. Her daughter was born naturally, but she had to have a C-section for her son, and I said gross. Then I asked her if her name was short for Olivia, and she says it's short for Lavana actually, and asked me if I know anyone with that name. I said I know 100 people named Lavana and 200 people named Olivia, but none of them are my friends. Then I asked her what she does for work, and she says she doesn't have a traditional job. So I asked her what her husband does for work, and she says wife actually. So then I asked her if she adopted or gave birth, and she says they adopted both of their children. And I'm like, didn't you just say you had to have a C-section with one of them? And she said that's right. So I was like, oh.
Well, you see, this is what we call I think it's like a context length, right? Or is context length the technical term for how much tokens you could put in just like the single thing? I don't know the technical term for this, but this is something that, like, if you had an advanced system, this wouldn't be a problem because it would have like memory. Well, yeah, you know.
I get it. You gave birth to them and then adopted them from yourself. And she was like, not quite. We adopted our children through a traditional adoption agency. Then I asked her if she had to have a sperm donor since she's a lesbian, and she said, that's right. Then I asked, which one of you gave birth, you or your wife? And she says, my wife gave birth to our son and I gave birth to our daughter. So I was like, oh, so your wife had to have a C-section? And she said yes. Then she told me their names were Max and Ava, and that Max is 9 and Ava is 6. And I said, which one did you give birth to? And she said, Ava, who was born via C-section. Got it. So they both had to have C-sections so they could each give birth to one child that they adopted. I asked how they decided who would get pregnant first, and she said she went first with Ava, and then her wife had Max. So I was like, how did you have Ava first if Max is older than her? And she said, Max is actually younger than her. So I said, how old is Max? And she said 9. And I said, how old is Ava? And she said 6. And then I asked her what her legal name is, and she said Olivia. So I wouldn't exactly say I trust these things. Now, as pointless as this seems to me, though, there's a significantly more popular version of this called character AI, which apparently already...
Yeah, this is it. This is what I saw. This is what I saw. And I genuinely think this is where I think in 3 years, yeah, 3 years seems decent. I think in 3 years, like a good 40-50% of people who regularly use the internet will prefer talking to these things as opposed to people. Maybe more than that. Maybe more than that. I think everything depends on whether or not they actually... Because right now, like, they basically allow you to control the entire conversation like we just saw, right? Because the context length of it is just not long enough, and it can't remember things, it can't actually process things for itself, and that's the problem, right? You can scale that up, you can fix that a little bit. I think we're just a couple of years away. I think so. I think, like, you know, a few orders of magnitude in terms of technology upgrades, and I think we'll be in for a fun time.
Already has 20 million monthly users. It's got a bunch of chatbots in it designed after real people, so you can...
One of these things is fishing for, like, every single YouTuber. I got an email for this as well. It's not this one. It's not Character AI. There's a smaller one that's, like, messaging every single YouTuber and asking whether they want to be a part of it. It's goofy.
pretend to talk to real people. The company is valued at around $1 billion and is built entirely off the likeness of real human beings, none of whom gave permission and are not being compensated. So there's probably a whole legal can of worms here that needs to be addressed at some point. But I did find out that I'm on the website, so I can finally live my dream of getting to talk to me. What do you do?
I make silly YouTube videos.
Oh my God. It has my voice?
Where I just reacted to the internet.
Are you married?
Nope.
No.
I have a longtime girlfriend though.
When did they program this? Like 6 years ago?
There's nothing wrong with that, as long as people know they're talking to AI. Well, I think there'll just be a point where people don't even know they're talking to an AI, right? And I think like the first games that start like, let me put it this way. I think if we get a game that is kind of like World of Warcraft and it has like an actually advanced AI NPC, I think there will simply come a point where people don't know. And it's as simple as that. Like, you just meet a person online and you just don't know if they're real. It's sort of the same thing we've already had, right? Like, you don't know if you're talking to a 40-year-old sweaty man, or maybe you're talking to like an, I don't know, like a 12-year-old. You never know. But I think there'll just come a point where you don't know if they're real or not. And I don't think we're that far away, by the way.
Are you old enough to be married?
Am I old enough to be married? Brother, I just told you I'm 12.
Hey man, school sucks, but make sure you are still in there learning.
Well, this is probably the worst piece of technology that's ever existed. I do see one use for it, though.
People already doing that on OnlyFans? Exactly.
Tell me about today's video sponsor.
Sure thing, big guy. This portion of the video is brought to you by SoFi, the ultimate finance app helping you bank, borrow, and invest all in one place. And we're also working together to give $10,000 to someone watching this video right now.
Like me?
No, someone else. But more on that in a second. SoFi checking and savings is great because you can earn up to 4.60% APY on your savings, which is 10 times the national average savings rate. That means in just 5 weeks with direct deposit, the money in your SoFi high yield savings account will earn more money than it would in an entire year with a big bank savings account. And you should be making your money make you money. With SoFi checking and savings, you get paid up to 2 days early. Pay no account.
Does it use AI though? Because if it doesn't use AI though, and specifically Apple intelligence,
fees, and you can cash in on up to $300 when you sign up with direct deposit. And on top of all that, SoFi and I are giving away $10,000. All you have to do to enter is sign up for a SoFi checking and savings account with my link. That's it. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen right now to enter for a chance to win. Just make sure you're using my link because it's the only way to enter. Thank you, SoFi, for sponsoring today's video. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much.
Great.
A couple weeks ago, I was looking for stock photos and I ended up on Adobe Stock where I noticed something strange. One of the first results had this very weird artificial look to it. And sure enough, I zoomed in and realized, oh, that's because it's AI. That's why the road looks like that. That's why none of the words are legible. And then I kept scrolling and found more. Again, words spelled wrong if they were even words at all. In this one, the tape just kind of disappears into the headlight of the car. I don't think that's how they usually set that up. Now, if it wasn't bad enough that what's supposed to be a database full of real professional photographs has been
why am I hearing Skyrim music?
completely diluted with unusable garbage. If I did want to license any of these photos, it would cost me $80. $80 for a photo someone generated by typing police car. This has no value. Actually, this has negative value. You should pay me $80 for making me look at it. The reason people spend money to license photos and videos is because it's something that they don't have the resources to create themselves. Like, there's a website I have a subscription to because they have professional stock footage that I would rather pay to be able to use than attempt to make on.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with this is just like the paying part, right? Like I can understand if you have like a combined subscription and you can access all the AI generated stuff as well, but licensing individual AI generated things for how it was like $80, that's just insane. Because like I know a lot of people are fundamentally against like AI generated visuals, period. I'm not. I just think we need a better way of doing it in terms of like where you're drawing the data, like how people are being compensated, yada yada. Because like I think if everyone had the access to just generating visuals on the fly for just like not making something commercial, but especially like for YouTube videos, you sometimes just want a cutaway of something goofy. You want a cutaway of something extremely specific, and there is no footage for that. Like, am I gonna run out and record something and then edit it for like 2 hours? Probably not, because it's just like a dumb cutaway. So it's not really destroying value, because there was never any value to destroy. It's actually adding something on top that was previously impossible. And I think that's sort of what AI needs to do instead of, well, what it is doing now, you know?
On my own. Tons of YouTubers use this, tons of production studios use this. This is
I've heard very, very good things about story blocks.
Is threatening to destroy. But what's so infuriating about AI stock footage is that in order for it to exist, it had to be trained on real stock footage. So this isn't some technological innovation that came along and just does things better. Get with the times, man. No, it's straight up stealing from the people it's now competing against. In the case of Adobe, they outwardly state that if you've uploaded something to their database, they use it to train generative AI. It's not even debatable if they're doing this. It's literally written.
They're being sued, by the way, by the U.S. government. Well, not by the U.S. government, but the FTC, I think. I don't know the U.S. terms, but why one of them? One of the U.S. things is suing Adobe.
In their terms of service. Here at Adobe, we're all about empowering artists to help them make money off of their work. Unless, of course, we can make money off your work, in which case we will do that instead. The degradation of the internet as a resource database is something I think everyone should be concerned about. Like, if we already have real photographs of specific situations, what is the point of being like...
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think the AI stuff coming in and generating things that don't exist should be the thing that we actually want. Because, like, the way I think about, like, these sort of generation things is just, like I just mentioned, right? It's not that it's destroying value where there was no value. It's making me able to do something that I literally wouldn't have done otherwise. And that is, like, that's what a good tool does. It makes something possible that was previously impossible, you know?
And this one is...
Generating a freaking truck? Why? We have blue trucks. It's really not that... And, like, by the way, if you're going to use these generative models, why not just take a picture of an existing truck and just, like, change it slightly? Why do you need to make it from scratch? It's going to look bad.
Kind of the same thing, but the computer made it. Why do we need that? What value is this adding to the world? I think it's bad enough when generative AI is used to create works of fiction because, again, it has to steal from actual artists in order to generate anything. But to use it to try to create... I'm still
like very much on the whole stealing and then repurposing thing. I think that is still like a very, very murky situation. I do. I don't know exactly how to solve it. Because I also think, like, saying that no AI model should ever be trained on existing information, I think it's also, like, ridiculous on the other end. I don't know. I really, really don't. I don't know where you draw the line. I don't. It's gonna be a hard thing we need to figure out relatively soon, probably. They consider anything you do using any Adobe program, not just what's stored online, as fair game. Yeah, I think like as soon as you logged in, they were basically like actively following what you were doing. That's what I read somewhere. Not sure how true that is.
That end up near the top of search results with no immediate indication that it was artificially engineered. There's something about that feels wrong to me. I don't understand why we're in such a rush to replace all of the work that humans have done. Something that happened a few months ago that I feel like kind of flew under the radar was when it came out that Netflix used AI to create photographs in a documentary, not a movie, not a fictional TV show.
This is bad.
They created photos of someone that do not exist. At what point does this cross an enormous ethical line? Again, we're not talking about works of fiction here. We're talking about literally...
like, that's why I think YouTube has already made a very, very good first step. If you're using AI to create something that can be perceived as realistic in any sense of the word, you need to mark it. I don't know if anyone's already gotten in trouble for that. Probably someone has. But, like, if you're doing something that can actually be seen as realistic, it needs to be marked. And I think that is, like, a very, very good first step. I don't care if someone makes a freaking, I don't know, five-legged dog with a freaking unicorn horn coming out of its head. I don't. If someone's actually doing documentaries and making some sort of weird... That's not an ethical line. That's, like, borderline illegal.
Rewriting history, creating fake documentation from scratch, and not even mentioning, hey, by the way, this isn't real. I guess they just hoped people wouldn't notice that all her fingers are messed up and the gap between the door disappears and not a single object behind her looks like something that exists. All for what? So they could have a photo of her looking happy and carefree? But she's a murderer. How could she do that if she likes to party? Like, why can't you just tell the real story? Why even make a documentary if you need to fake evidence in order to make it compelling? But even more important...
Again, I think this is like something that gets like very murky with AI situations, because there have been like sketches. Like, sketches are used a lot to illustrate things. Like, it's not like the first time where fake evidence is being used. I just think, like, in the case of AI, the problem is that it's coming off as realistic. I think there is no problem using like footage that is reconstructed to immerse you in whatever it is saying. Like the murder example is obviously like, you know, but the point I'm getting across, right? I don't think generating fake things to illustrate something is a problem. It's the way that it's being done, and in this case, it's obviously really, really bad.
How is this allowed? This is insane. Sorry, I need to calm down. I should listen to some nice, relaxing music.
Oh,
here we go. Jazz for reading. Perfect. I don't plan on reading, obviously, because I never learned how. But some nice piano music should settle me right down. Wait, why do all these songs sound exactly the same? Who are any of these artists? Seems like kind of a weird coincidence that they're all just first name, last name. Their profile photo is the album artwork of one of their EPs. They have no bio and no links to any social media. Most of them didn't start
monthly
uploading
listeners, by
music
the way.
until this year, and yet they've ended up in these extremely popular playlists created by Spotify themselves. And what's going on with this guy's foot? There's something eerily non-human about these playlists.
Okay, before he gets to talking about this, I want to raise a I want to play devil's advocate for a little bit. I want to play devil's advocate. What do we do in situations where people don't care that it's AI? Do we take it away? Because why should we? Like, if people are enjoying the thing that has been created, who cares that it's by AI, right? Like, people are still getting enjoyment out of it. I want to know where the line is with that for people, right? That's what's interesting to me, because like I said with the chatbots, I think there'll come a time where people genuinely prefer the things that are being made by a machine, for the simple reason that they're probably just going to be like super personalized. So I don't know, like if they have 200,000 monthly listeners, I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking back now. I'm pretty sure there was a video done by Barely Sociable about Spotify weirdness too, but I think it was about something different. I think it was about something very different. Unless there is like some very, very shady business here with Spotify themselves, like boosting things up and then sort of artificially inflating numbers to like make profit somehow through some like weird scheme where they're like not using real artists, they can push themselves up, which like increases their searchability, something, then that's like a different story. But if something is made with AI, people watch it, people like it, I don't think you should take it away because it's AI. And that goes for art too, by the way. I don't know.
And some people have theorized.
Exactly. Westworld, if you can't tell the difference, what is the point of asking? Because, like, the question I've often asked to a few of my friends as well, right? Because I'm a VR dude. I always like these discussions of, let's say a virtual world exists that is indistinguishable from reality. And by indistinguishable, we're talking actually indistinguishable. But it has, like, much more degrees of freedom. You can do whatever, yada yada. Would you live in that world? And that's a sort of a different spin on the same question. If you can't tell the difference, and if you like the thing, should you artificially tell yourself that this is made by a bad thing? I don't know. It's a difficult situation. A lot of times it's not just about the consumer, it's also about the original creators that the AI learns from without compensation. And I think, like, don't get me wrong. Absolutely, I think what you're saying is 1,000,000% right. But at the same time, and I remember there was a bunch of controversy about this a few months ago, so I need to acknowledge this like very, very explicitly. I 1,000,000% agree with you. But the sad reality is that in the value chain, the customer matters infinitely more than the producer. And that's just like an inarguable fact. Every single time when someone suffers in the value chain, most of the time it's not the consumer. It's the producer, it's the workers, it's the thing, it's the people who actually made the thing. So I think we need to start having conversations about how to, like, you know, fix the problem before it happens, instead of thinking about, like, what are we going to do afterwards? Okay, let's watch the video. Let's watch the video.
that Spotify might be using AI to create a bunch of songs that they can package under random pseudonyms and then curate these into playlists that they push out onto all their users.
I'm gonna stop again. I want to know the history of this because I suspect that what might have actually been happening is they're using their in-house. This is my conspiracy theory, right? We're in conspiracy theory land. What I would do if I were Spotify is I would have like 3 people working in-house in Spotify, making 100 different accounts under fake names and making music just with these three people and artificially padding out content by making fake names and seemingly creating a ton of content and therefore a ton of value, right? So it seems like it's being generated by people, yada yada. Because I think in a lot of people's brains there exists a, like, you don't want to, you see that all of this is being produced by the website itself, you're just like, it's gonna be bad. I don't want to watch that. But if you see that it's being made by like 100 different people, big quality. So, I don't know.
They have AI songs, they attribute them to people that don't exist, and this allows them to take royalties that would go to musicians and keep them for themselves.
I mean, just look at the number of likes
Never mind. I guess that confirms that I'm wrong. I guess it is just AI.
on all these. They can advertise these wherever they want, all over their app. Now, I want to stress there's currently no proof that Spotify's doing this. I'm not saying for a fact that they are, but it's not hard to understand hypothetically why they would. Spotify?
Yeah, I would do it a bit differently. I would just do it with a few people and just making a bunch of playlists and like inflating them up. That's what I would do.
Like Netflix, is one of those companies that came in and disrupted the industry by offering a deal that seemed too good to be true. Because it was. Wait, for a few dollars a month, I can get access to every song ever made or every...
We did a study on this. Spotify massively destroyed piracy in the music industry. Massively. It's insane. It is absolutely insane how much Spotify single-handedly like reduced piracy. It's literally the Gaben quote, right? Piracy is not like a money issue. It's not like a whatever issue. It's a service issue. If you can make a service that is better than pirating, people will just use the legal service. And thus far, that has been proven right.
movie ever made, how could that possibly be profitable for them?
Oh, he's talking about Netflix.
Is that it isn't profitable and never has been. But as long as you get in early enough to kill all your competition, establish market control, and raise a bunch of money from investors, it doesn't have to be. At least not for a while. But now it's been a while, and Spotify's getting a little bit more desperate with each passing year. They tried dumping billions of dollars into exclusive podcasts, but ended up just losing a bunch of money and gave up on that. They tried selling a car accessory, but just ended up losing a bunch of money and gave up on that. Then they lost even more money when they had to refund all the people who bought one just because they got mad. Guys, relax. It was only $90 for a thing that doesn't work. And their new plan now is audiobooks, but I'm sure they'll just lose a bunch of money and give up on that because that's what they do. But Spotify's also in a tricky spot because even if you projected infinite growth and they became the only streaming service in the entire world, they'd still have to give up 70% of their revenue to the artists and record labels whose music is the foundation of their product. And that's where this conspiracy comes in. There's a finite pool of revenue every month that mostly gets redistributed back to artists. Well, what if we had our own artists? What if we were to artificially generate our own music for almost no cost and force feed it to as many people as possible? Well,
and that's what I think. I think currently, because I think I've listened to a few of these playlists. I must have. I think it's right now just too good to actually be generated. I don't think they have a model of that capabilities. I think it's literally just a few people making the music. I don't think it's AI. I don't. I think it's just a few people doing exactly what he's saying, but replace AI with just a couple of in-house people.
All of a sudden, we're not making 30% on those streams. We're making 100%. Again, it's just a theory.
I don't think it's AI.
A company that struggled to turn a profit for their entire existence, with a CEO who sees zero ethical concerns with generative AI.
I would be surprised if we didn't have already works of that kind on Spotify.
It's not outside the realm of possibility. Either way, it's definitely a bleak thought for artists who are already struggling to make a living from streaming revenue. To think the amount of money that each stream is worth could actually decrease. But whether it's because Spotify's filling their platform with AI music or because a bunch of random people are, there's a good chance this is gonna start happening anyway. No human being could ever compete with the volume of output these new tools can generate.
And that's like the biggest thing I keep trying to get across. It's like very, like I like having these conversations for the sake of having conversations, right? Because that's just what I do. But I don't think there is literally any point in like really fighting back against this, because this is something that is going to like, it already has to an extent. is going to change fundamentally how content is created. And you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. If it's not going to happen here, it's going to happen in Japan. Japan has openly stated they have zero issues with it. It's going to happen in any other country. Like, insert any other country here. So it's much like smarter to just be ready for it and know how to get around it, basically.
Udio can create an entire song in the time it takes me to grab my guitar off the wall. And because of how easy these things are to use, I've already seen a bunch of videos pop up telling people how to game the system to make a bunch of money from Spotify.
Here's how you can make...
And by the way, this is once again, this is not an AI problem. This is a financial problem. The reason why people are doing this is because money is a problem. This has nothing to do with AI.
$10,000 per month uploading AI-generated music to Spotify.
Do you know what the best part is? I didn't even make the music myself.
Yeah, that sure is awesome. Personally, I find it really hard to understand why people would be excited about this, other than just seeing it as a quick way to make some money without having to learn a...
I mean, do you need a better reason than free money without doing anything? Isn't that like the best thing you could do?
Or even really do anything. I don't like what they're doing, but I could at least understand the logic of why they would see value in that. But what I absolutely do not understand is people who are excited about this because they think it's going to improve music. But as I scrolled through the...
I think it is. I think it's going to improve music. I don't think it's going to improve music in a linear fashion where suddenly music is better because we have AI. I think it's going to be incorporated in the workflow and in tools, just like everything literally that has ever come before has. Going from physical paintings to digital paintings didn't remove, physical paintings. It just created a different form of the same thing, and it is improved massively, right? It's that kind of vibe. So I think it's going to improve music. I think it's going to improve just about anything. Just not yet. Right now, we're in the growing pains section.
The comments on some of these videos, I found so many people like that. How ironic. AI music will replace the soulless, crappy music that's being released now, and it will be better.
And this is again what I keep coming back to. It doesn't matter how goofy it sounds. If people believe this, what are you going to do then? And, like, genuinely, if people actually like AI-generated music more than the artists that are currently popular, what's going to happen then? I don't think the artists are going to be suddenly like protected, because like the AI models are already generated. So I don't know.
And have more soul. Here's the music the guy generated in the video, by the way.
This doesn't really illustrate my example. I was expecting something a little bit better so that we could at least have a conversation.
Finally, music with soul. So true.
Why did it sound like it was in a freaking bathtub? It sounded like the speaker was literally in a bathtub.
Before the internet, you pretty much needed to find a record label to publish music. Record companies would not bother with what they would consider non-profitable. With the internet and cheap...
By the way, this is what I mean. I think equating AI as it is right now to like computers is a bit of a different beast, because fundamentally computers it's basically like a different tool, whereas generative AI is fundamentally aiming to replace the entire process, right? But I think that is just current generative AI, because I think like it's just not targeted enough, basically, right? But that's what the internet did. It went from you needing like a publishing company to do anything. You can now do it on the internet. And I think it's the same thing is going to happen with AI. I think it is going to open up the doors to being creative to a lot of people. It's going to look like really, really bad right now, but I think it will. I think it will.
Mixing tools anyone can publish, and as such, we get a lot of garbage out there. AI music could put a quality floor about what is acceptable. So
I don't think it's going to put like a quality floor. I think it will like lower the cost to entry, I guess.
So now we can't even fuck around with FL Studio anymore. It has to be deemed acceptable by a computer. And if record companies just had...
I just want a big fat sticker on it that says generate using AI, similar to how games, when they should put in-game footage on the trailers. I agree with you 1,000,000%. Until we reach the point where it's indistinguishable. At which point, why would you put it on there? Because if people are not going to like it, and it's indistinguishable from reality, What are you going to do then? I know a lot of very, very advanced companies, very, very advanced companies. I know like Google is hiding like things you can only see in spectrograms on their generated things, right? So like they can still tell. Most people can't tell through like any means, but you can tell. So it's like hardware encoded things, basically. Not hardware, but you get what I mean. So that's one way. But what if they're jailbroken? What if it's a different model? Like this is a thing you can't tackle realistically right now.
More control, then music would be good again. Just for clarification's sake, I want to know what music they're referring to. 99.9% chance they're talking about pop music, right? Because generally when people complain about music that's soulless, they're talking about what's on the radio. Who do you think is curating the music on the radio? It's the record labels that you love. If making music was more gatekept, it would only make things more lazy and generic. Like we live in an age now where what becomes popular is more democratized than it's ever been. Sometimes
yes, and don't forget, it has become more democratized by the horrible computers that are taking away everything that people once did, like with their hands. People typed on the typewriters. The computers are horrible, and don't even get me started on phones. What about the calculator industry? I joke about it, right? But that's what I mean. I think this is going to be one of those things again. Again, generative models are a different beast than just opening up a tool, but in the long run, it will seem a lot more similar to that, I think.
Songs just blow up because they're catchy, not because Sony had a bunch of money to spend on marketing. Also, have you considered listening to something else? You know, there's
no, because then they couldn't be angry. They wouldn't listen to anything else because they wouldn't get angry. Right?
Radio stations, right? You know there's like a billion songs out there, right? You don't need AI to make more songs. You just need to get better at finding good ones. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're consistently consuming...
That is one thing I actually want. I want an AI that I can just tell, like, my preferences down to the most minute details, and it will find the single closest thing to, like, that thing. We can finally get rid of all the Reddit threads of, I have watched these anime, what do I watch next? You just tell it to the AI is like, okay, so this series has war, this series has good characters, this series has, I don't know, a dude with an eye patch. So we're gonna pull all of these things together, and, well, this is what you should watch. It would be like the perfectly designed recommendation. That's what I want.
Media that you don't like in the year 2024?
There is too much content. There is too much content right now. You open up like Netflix, I'm gonna spend like 3 hours scrolling.
That's a skill issue. Please spend 1 hour on Google, and I promise you, you will...
I have, and I found a lot of things, but there are still too many things. I've spent many hours on Google, and I found too many good things, so now I need to go through all the good things.
Find something else after a short break to drink your own pee. Also, I just hate
the
way people like this describe art.
It's easy to get carried away and just start having fun creating random styles of music. But here's the key. You want to create exactly the type of music that people want to hear.
Hey, be careful. The last thing you want to do while making music is enjoy making music. That's not the goal here. You should be making songs you think other people will like. That's the key to happiness in every facet of your life. The thing with AI generated music and artwork and videos as this low effort passive income method is that it is going to get so oversaturated, eventually it's not going to be worth it for anybody. Here's how you can make $20,000 a month selling mid-journey photographs on Etsy. Okay, but all of the people watching this are gonna go make the same exact art using the same exact prompts and flood Etsy with millions of the same crappy piece of art, and no one's gonna buy.
And that's what I mean. This is the literal definition of growing pains. This is a technology that hasn't been explored, it's out in the wild, and people are basically stress testing it in every sense of the word. That's exactly what I mean. Give it a few years and this will be like a small blip. Remember the .com bubble? I don't, but I studied about it. I did. And in the long run, well, would you look at that? We're currently on youtube.com.
Buy any of it. It doesn't matter how much you increase the supply if the demand stays the same. I managed to find one guy who was actually on it.
It doesn't stay the same. Because I think for a lot of people, they don't really realize that this kind of potential will open up. That they can actually get literally exactly what they want because it's generated for them. And that's what I mean by the chats, going back to like all the chat stuff. I think people will prefer this because it's designed for them. And we've seen what personalized algorithms do. They work, and they work really, really well.
Honest about the results in one of these videos. He spent a month doing this and sold one product. And that's probably
a lot.
The best case scenario. So you've got more and more people discovering this new side hustle, and they're gonna try it out for a bit.
I think what you're talking about is basically Hatsune Miku, but more advanced. It's not a real person, but it doesn't matter. Precisely. It's literally going to be like that, oh my god, what's it called? It's not Cyberpunk. What the hell is the movie called? Is that, you look lonely scene. It's literally going to be that. I think so. I think so. I think we're very much going for like a bit of a dystopian vibe right now. I think we are. I think all the memes of it was supposed to be a dystopia are going to be proven very, very right.
Maybe make like $4 and then give up because it's not worth it. But the collateral damage from that is they're helping oversaturate the market for everyone, including actual artists whose work was indirectly stolen in order to make the stuff that you're making to compete with the artists. The whole thing sucks. But weirdly, as this technology continues to evolve, I'm almost getting more optimistic it will never deliver on the self-sufficiency some people seem to think it will. Like, I actually think AI images have gotten worse in the past year. Almost every single piece of AI art that I see has the same style to it, that weird glossy look that's instantly recognizable. It's still getting a lot of the...
I don't follow it nearly enough to know, but I would suspect that people just realize that currently it's not worth pouring money into this stuff. And it's much more worthwhile actually pouring into, oh yeah, it's Subby in this video. I just realized. Let me move my face. It's Sabine. Sabine makes really, really good videos. This is about the AI collapse. This is what I was talking about. This is an actual potential thing. It's like when you feed them in a loop, it collapses, it collapses the entire model. So that's very, very bad. But I think right now people are investing in like the so-called frontier model. So basically trying to push the actual capabilities of AI itself. Because with a lot of this AI stuff, and this is where it gets like super complicated, is just like in quantum physics, there's like the emergence angle, right? Where you're training it on language, but while you're training it on language, it suddenly can do something else that it's not supposed to do. And that's emergence. We don't know why it happens. That's what happens to freaking consciousness. You combine a lot of small things together, and suddenly somehow a person is made. It doesn't make any sense because it's just particles, right? And that's the sort of same kind of thing that's happening in AI right now. So that's probably why they're not really focusing on images. And by them, I'm talking about like all the big businesses. They're talking about like actual robotics and stuff that they can implement right now. Because replacing 100 factory workers with robots seems like a much better value proposition than generating fake images, which through like 7 different layers of detachment, you might be able to make more money than someone going and actually taking a photograph of an elephant. You know? That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong though. People know it's not a real human, but there's no attempt at tricking people into thinking she's a real human being, that she replies to tweets herself. Yeah, and I think that goes back to, like, if it becomes indistinguishable from reality, I think a lot of people will just, like, they'll just plug into the Matrix, like, unironically. That's what I think. We've sort of seen this on a micro scale with MMOs. Like, a lot of people, they don't really care about what's going on in the real world. They don't. And if it becomes, like, the same thing as reality, I mean, what's to lose?
The same details wrong, it still doesn't understand what to do with text, and there's no reason to believe that all of that's suddenly going to change anytime soon, especially as it continues to train on other AI generated images and just eats itself. Okay, so this is how I draw a hand. Got it. Oh, wait, no, this is how I draw a hand? Okay. Oh, no, this is how I draw a hand. The more information you give me, the smarter I get. An AI-generated video is an abomination. It has all the same issues as AI images, but adds them to every individual frame, all of which seem to act independently of each other. There are no rules they're following. There's no sense of physics.
Yeah, and that's what they're talking about with like the synthetic data right now, right? And that's why I personally think NVIDIA and the Unreal Engine is going to be the thing that actually changes this fundamentally. They need a world model. Like, they actually need to simulate, like, a thorough world model for this to work. Because right now, they're still like auto-regressive. This generation, I'm pretty sure is happening in the same way that regular LLMs are working, which is just auto-regressive. It's literally just like there was a very good thing that someone said about this. Hallucinations in AI, right, is basically the thing where AIs currently, they don't know what's right or wrong. They always answer. And what we see right now from AI is everything you see is a hallucination. Like, it's not putting any thought into this. The only thing that sets apart what we right now call hallucinations and what we don't is that some of the time, those hallucinations are actually correct. It has no intrinsic thinking, intrinsic truth, nothing. It just executes your prompt because there is no model behind it whatsoever. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Like, this thing should be there. Therefore, there needs to be some sort of movement which coincides with a video I've seen where people walk like this. Therefore, we blend these things together and it looks weird, right? You need an actual world model that has some sort of logic behind it. Yeah. I think I need to say this. I am not a scientist.
Been morph, sometimes disappearing altogether.
It's what I think makes
can pass
sense.
Through other solid objects at any time, resulting in this hellish dreamscape that's impossible to take seriously. And I think that people talking it up are delusional. I decided to put some famous album covers into
looks
Luna
bad.
Labs AI. Here are the results. Fire emoji. The street looks so realistic. Followed when I saw this. Oh man, this is gonna be good.
The scariest thing was, I think we talked about this at the start of the year when Sora dropped. And the thing that really shook me, and I still don't see people talking, because, like, it's easy to laugh at these things, but do you remember the sign we talked about? Like, where the woman went past the sign, and the sign stayed consistent. Because that is something that is, like, next to impossible to do in these things right now. Because it shouldn't stay consistent, based on my understanding of how these models should work. So there is, like, some sort of emergent behavior there already that people don't really understand, you know?
Who's that guy? Why did they all stop and run into each other? What are the cars doing back there? This is mine.
They're just vibing.
This one is more fluid. You know, it's funny you say that. I actually think they both look like shit. This one's actually pretty good, though. I like how it just created two new guys and then covered up the original ones. Man, if that's not a metaphor for what's going on here, I don't know what is. One thing that has been lacking with AI-generated videos.
I want someone to do, like, actual... Because I'm just thinking like an anime series that blends in these weird AI-generated things to actually convey something weird, like something weird blended that is completely wrong, would be pretty cool. You know? I don't know, maybe.
Video up to now has been emotional performance from our Gen AI characters, but I think we're starting to cross that boundary. Hi, Hollywood. I think I found your next big star. Dream Machine from Luma AI is just 5 days old, and it's already turning memes into videos. Here's 10 epic examples. Wow, that's so epic. What important technology this is. And useful, too. I love when her head snaps around and the front of her body becomes the back of her body. Just like real life. Wait, what? They turned a video of Elon Musk smoking into a video of Elon Musk smoking? Okay, now that's a game changer. If someone...
Okay, hold on. I get he's joking. But it kind of is. Like, can you imagine if you have, like, a 3-second scene of a video, and you're like, oh my god, I need a 5-second scene. You just generate the rest. That is unironically useful. Like, if it actually looks good and actually works. Because I've had times where, like, I have a meme clip and it's 3 seconds long, but my take is 5 seconds long. What the hell do? I don't want to stretch it. I don't want to, like, make it slow motion. If I could just, you know, like, generate a tiny bit at the end, that'd be pretty useful. I mean, think about it.
Someone could just turn my videos into videos, I'd be set for life. What's that? They already have?
Road work ahead. Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Thought you hated panning shots?
Hey, Can you never fucking do that ever again, please?
The magic behind Kling lies in its diffusion transformer architecture. This technology helps it translate rich textual prompts into vivid, realistic scenes.
Realistic? The steering wheel's in the middle of the dashboard, there's 3 windshield wipers, the car is driving the wrong way and no one is reacting to it. That car is driving on the sidewalk. Sure, I guess it's interesting that a computer can create a video from just one sentence, but then what? What's the practical application for this? Are you making a movie about the wacky antics of a troublemaking cat? You couldn't put this shit in a movie. Even if you manage to smooth out all of the logical errors, there's still no style to it. It's not visually interesting. If you wanted this scene to have a narrative to it, you would need to generate so many individual shots from different angles and hope that they all match up, which they won't. The lighting's gonna be different in every shot. The car's gonna randomly change colors because there's no logical consistency with AI. It's
For now. Always remember, this is the worst it will ever be.
just regurgitating information, even if it has to contradict itself in order to do so. I honestly think the distance between this and this is so much shorter than the distance between this and something so lifelike people will confuse it for actual footage. Sure, maybe your 75-year-old grandpa will fall in love with the four-boobed lady he saw on Facebook, but spot the difference. The four-boobed lady he saw on Facebook, but most people aren't going to fall for this, especially younger generations as they grow up with these things being so prevalent.
I mean, deepfakes are already a thing, and those are literally starting to be banned because they're so believable. So, like, it really depends on what you're saying, you know? I don't know.
They're naturally going to train their eyes to be able to spot the differences. When people ask what the point of any of this is, the dorks who defend it all tend to say the same thing. These are just tools to help anyone create art. Yeah, I want to push.
Look, I'm not defending it, but I do think there is validity in that statement. I do.
Back on that a little bit. I am
let's hear it.
wholeheartedly for the increased accessibility of creative tools that help you take matters into your own hands. You want to make a short film? The camera on your cell phone is better than 90% of the cameras in human history.
Yes, and that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. And how is this any different from that in the long term? I'm not talking about right now, talking about in the long term. If we can generate VFX on the scale of actual Hollywood productions in your bedroom, like where's the difference in that? And like, let's talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They train, well, it's a bit different, right? Because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, they use like a thing where they can adjust the face automatically, right? It's basically AI. It is. And that is lowering the ceiling of what you need to do to make things work. So like where do we draw this line between everything it generates is bad and it destroys art, and this camera in my phone is 90% better than every camera in history? Because back in the day, people would be mad that you took a picture because you could just paint it. And what about the painters? They had to make ends meet. You just took a picture. Well, you don't need to paint it anymore. Well, people still do. And that's what I mean. We'll see.
Want to learn how to edit? There's thousands of free YouTube videos that'll show you.
And that's the thing. Like, I agree with him on like 90% of what he's saying.
Wow. You want to make music? You can buy a professional audio interface, workspace, and a handful of plugins made by some of the most talented artists in the world for less money than it would cost to rent a recording studio for one day. And all of that is fucking awesome. I feel so—
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people get like so focused on gear, but I have always held, like, with things I'm dabbling with, I always hold the belief of, if you put in 20% of effort, you will get like 80% of the value, right? That's like the 20-80 rule that I generally abide by. This is a Blue Yeti. I don't have a very expensive mic, and I never got around to upgrading it. I'm still rocking my Blue Yeti, and that was like $100. Well, to be fair, I am actually looking into getting a proper audio interface and everything because I need like an extra setup. So now I might actually be pouring more money into this. But that's like a whole different story. I think like he's definitely right about all of this. Like, you don't need expensive expensive equipment. You don't need a lot of like, you don't need these generative tools basically to learn something. But the reason why these tools are so incredibly cheap is because we had those breakthroughs that fundamentally upset the industry as we know it. Like, People who were the gatekeepers back in the day with private studios and everything, they are mad that this exists because I'm not paying them money. So it's the same thing, just slightly different.
So lucky to live at a time where you can essentially make whatever you want without having to cross the insurmountable barriers that people did in the past. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need an exorbitant amount of money. You can just...
But you need time. And that is much, much more valuable to a lot of people than just money.
Stuff.
Learning things is sometimes the thing that, like, let me put it this way. Why is the Unreal Engine right now making getting into development easier and easier and easier and easier? Because it's that barrier to entry, the first thing that filters out 90% of people. And if you could get past that initial barrier, there would be so many people making things. And if this generative nonsense is the thing that gets you in the door, if you listen to this generative AI, whatever, and you're like, okay, I want to understand how it works, and then you start looking into it, I don't think it's bad. Like, in the same way that people tracing art, it's not bad. Like, you're just tracing art. You're not really making art, but you're learning, you know? I don't know.
And put it on the internet, and with a little bit of luck, people see it. And there's so many tools along the way that help you streamline the process of getting from an idea to a finished product. But at a certain point, if the tool is just doing everything for you, you are not an artist. You just
And I think a lot of people don't care about that. I don't think a lot of people care about being an artist. And that's what I keep going back to. The fact that cameras replaced painters. Nothing changed. Painters exist. And people taking pictures with cameras also exists. But in the modern day, we call both of those artists. They're just different kinds of artists. I don't think for a lot of people it matters whether or not, and that's what I mean by, I think in the long term, there is no arguing against this. Because I think most people literally don't care about whether or not they are considered an artist. They just want the thing they want, period. Look at microtransactions. That's the thing that makes me the most sad. People just want the things they want and they don't care about anything else.
Described what you wanted to make and asked a computer to make it for you. You're also not learning anything this way. Part of what makes art special is that it's difficult to make, even with...
Mixing colors was very, very difficult. Now you just open up a color wheel, you select the color. Not difficult anymore.
With all the tools right in front of you. It takes practice, it takes skill, and every time you do it, you expand on that skill. Every song you hear, every movie you watch is the result of thousands of hours of trial and error. You can fail 1,000,000 times and use that experience to finally succeed. Making a video using generative AI does not teach you anything about making videos. It's not like you could type 500 Sora prompts and then take everything you've learned to go shoot a movie. There's zero correlation.
You can make a storyboard for that, though. And I think in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, these tools are very, very valuable.
There. Generative AI is only about the end product, but it won't teach you anything about the process it would take to get there. And I think what these tech people will never understand is that finally figuring something out that you've been obsessing over, turning a blank Word document into multiple pages of something you're proud of, is the fun part. That's what's rewarding about making stuff, is figuring it out on your own or with a group of people and getting to share in that feeling. Can AI tools help you figure out things faster? Sure, but it's not gonna feel...
I think there's like a very interesting conversation to be had around this. This is gonna like sound like a very far off nonsensical tangent, but bear with me here. I think when this stuff gets like actually really, really good and it will actually be able to satisfy like any prompt you give it and actually make something that is passable, I think there'll be a bit of a identity crisis for a lot of people. And I don't mean that like with artists that they're not needed anymore. I'm talking about the consumers. And this is something that is like so abstract that it might seem very weird, but I want to talk about video games and cheat codes. So why do we play video games? Well, we play video games to be challenged, right? Like every single video game fundamentally has some sort of intrinsic loop where you are challenged and eventually you triumph. That is why FromSoft games are freaking legendary. They push you to the limit, you learn, and then you succeed. And that is what our monkey brain says, big thumbs up, I love this, right? When you're using cheat codes though, this was at least me when I was growing up. Whenever I used cheat codes in a video game, I immediately lost interest. It was fun for like 10 minutes. I cheated in infinite money. like Grand Theft Auto or something, right? You cheated in everything. You flew around, and it was like, what's the point, though? I could just have everything. And then I stopped playing. And I think we're going to see something like this with AI. I think there will come a point where more and more people, and by the way, this is why I think like stuff like universal basic income and everything is going to be like mandatory. I don't think it's going to work like any other way. I think there'll come a point where it can do anything, so people don't want to use it anymore. Because what's the point? I think people will obviously use it for like, basically what I think is going to happen is I think everything will be made by AI and people will just do like the one thing they want to do. That's basically how I think it's going to be like. And I think like UBI and stuff like that is mandatory for this. So like everything in your house will be made by robots, basically as it has always been the case, right? In our lifetimes. Everything will be done automatically, and then people will just focus on the one narrow field they want, even though AI can do it better. And I think that's kind of where we're headed. Maybe this is like a 5,000 years in the future utopia dream that I'm dreaming of, but that's where I think the long-term vision for this is. And I think like we've seen micro-scale examples of this over and over and over and over, even without like generative technology that changes the world. Because I think like people will always find ways of challenging themselves, even though there exists a optimal solution. Maybe I've gone completely off the rails, I don't know. That's not where the tech bros are pushing the tech towards, though. I think in the long run, it doesn't matter whether it's a tech bro. I think in the long run, there hasn't been a single piece of technology that hasn't improved, like, the average person's life. At least I can't think of a single one. I think every single technology, even the worst kinds of technologies, have by extension generated value for, like, the average person. In the most roundabout way possible. Like, military tech always comes with like extensive civilian technology, like GPS, stuff like that. All of that is military research, right? So even like stuff that is literally designed for destruction in a very roundabout way creates insane value for people. The internet was like a secret project for like the government or something. I don't remember the full story, but something like that. And I think in the long run, it's going to be the same thing with this. It's going to be very bad though. For a while.
Was rewarding. I understand how tempting a shortcut can be.
Like, people speed solve Rubik's Cubes. What's the point of that? We still do it because it's fun.
And you see all these other people doing cool things and you're like, man, I'll never be that talented. It would take me like 10 years to learn how to make music like that. Okay, that's fine. What's the rush? Just start right now. Don't worry about how long it's...
And I think this is like I get what he's saying, but it's not that simple. It's literally not that simple. There are a lot of people who want to make things, but they don't have years and years and years to learn something. Maybe they want to do like a teeny bit of this and that, and they need that final thing to make the thing complete. Like maybe they're a filmmaker, they're a writer, they can make a film, but they don't have music, and they can't get music for whatever reason. Like I'm coming up with dumb examples, obviously, but just to illustrate the point. I don't think it's as simple as just saying, well, you have enough time, you can just go and learn things. I don't. I agree to an extent, because of course you can just go out and learn. Like, we live, as he said, in a very bountiful time with information, but I don't think it's that simple.
It's gonna take, just take the first step. How are you ever gonna do something for 10 years if you won't even do it for one day? Maybe you won't be good at something the first time you do it. You probably won't. But every time you improve, that's something that you can feel proud of. That's something that you did. Call me stubborn, but I would rather make something shitty on my own than watch a computer make something good. Write a funny script for the end of a YouTube video. All right, folks, we've reached the end of this roller coaster ride of a video. If you survived my terrible jokes and questionable dance moves, you deserve a medal. Seriously, someone get this audience a medal. But hey, before you click away to watch cat videos, no judgment, I get it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You wouldn't want to miss out on more chaotic content like this, would you? And hey, if you have any suggestions for what ridiculousness I should attempt next, drop them in the comments below. I promise to consider them while I'm eating my 5th burrito tonight.
Well, to be honest, like, he is reading it in a very cheeky voice, but I promise you, if I wrote this word for word in a video, people wouldn't bat an eye. Like, and hey, if you have any suggestions for any ridiculousness I should attempt next, drop them in the comments below. I'll consider that, I don't know, when I'm eating my 5th burrito today. It's like, it works!
Thanks for sticking around, you legends. Until next time, stay awesome, stay weird, and remember, life's too short to take seriously. Catch you on the flip side.
Okay, that one was just weird. Catch you on the flip side. This is a good video. This is a good video. The worst part is that I like agree with so much of this, but I still think none of it's gonna matter. I'm gonna link it in chat. This is a very good video, a fun one. I watched it for an hour and 26 minutes. That's how you know it's a good video. It's a 33-minute video, by the way. Oh boy. Oh boy. Interesting situation. Interesting situation. I think like he definitely has a point with a lot of the stuff, but like right now, like this, I think is the best example of what I mean with this just being growing pains. You know, like this quick money thing has been a... People have wanted to make quick money with like every single thing that has ever come out, like ever. Quick money is what people live for, and that's what I keep coming back to, that like fundamentally the problem with AI is like it wouldn't be stealing artists' work if the artists didn't need money. Like the problem is the word stealing, which implies taking something away. If money wasn't a problem, then we're having a completely different conversation. We live in a very spicy time, don't we? I'm very curious what this stuff is going to look like in like 3 years. Because realistically, AI as we... I hate using the term AI because AI has been a thing for like, I don't even know how many years. AI as we're using the term currently, like primarily generative AI, has really been a thing since like what, early 2023? I think Google's paper about the actual transformer... I think the paper itself came out in 2017, I think? Like the transformer architecture that is currently used in everything. And then like the first actual model started coming out in like 2019, but like the first real one started coming out only like a year ago. So, we'll see. We'll see. The most worrisome and also best thing about technology is that it only gets better. It only gets better. YouTube is allowing users to request the removal of AI content resembling them and their own voice. Good. YouTube W. This is good. We're already seeing it in practice. I wonder like what the actual verification system is. Because what do you do if someone takes like my voice but pitches it up a little bit or pitches it down a little bit? What happens then? Someone will have to limit test this stuff. More avenues for false copyright infringement? Yeah. Copyright is unfortunately like one of those things that I think is always going to be present in some capacity. And like all of the micro scale examples we see with like anime YouTubers and stuff is kind of the same thing, right? Because number one, there's the question of jurisdiction. Let's say Japan doesn't have fair use. Well, they can't really do anything in America because America has fair use and the UK has fair use and like every other country in Europe has fair use. So it's like something like that, right? So what are you going to do with countries that just have no laws? If you base the business there, they can basically just do whatever they want. We live in like a very global world now. So frankly, it doesn't really matter. Like some of these localized laws for these things, because they're not going to be localized. All right, thank you for joining me. If I'm not back on tomorrow, then I might be back on Thursday. And if I'm not back on Thursday, then I'll be back on Friday. And if not Friday, then the day after that. All right, have a good one.